This February marks 1 year since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, but many people don't know that the Russo-Ukrainian War actually started 9 years ago. I'm Riley Lyons.
And I'm Asta Pandikanan, and we're going to break down the 3 events that caused the conflict between these two countries. So the story of Ukraine and Russia's souring relationship started in 1991 with the collapse of the Soviet Union. With Ukraine gaining independence from the greater Russian state, they also took the disputed peninsula known as Crimea. But since 2014, Crimea has been annexed and occupied by the Russian Federation. Riley, how did Russia get away with this?
Well, in late February of 2014, armed Russian forces raided the Crimean Parliament building, raised Russian flags, and cut communication networks between Crimea and Kyiv. That's how they started taking over. Shortly after, pro-Russian lawmakers expelled the sitting government and installed a pro-Russian leader as Crimea's prime minister.
Then the new Crimean Parliament voted to secede from Ukraine and join Russia. This referendum resulted in a whopping 97% vote from the public to join Russia, but the validity of this election is questioned by Ukraine and Western nations. The Ukrainian government said this was a violation of Ukrainian independence, but Russian President Vladimir Putin said they were just doing it to protect Crimea's Russian-speaking population and to have hold on their naval military. After Crimea's annexation, Ukraine started building up its military because they knew that hostilities wouldn't end here. And Ukraine was right. Riley, tell us what happens next.
Within a month, the Donbas region of Ukraine was also under turmoil because of Russian influence. This became the war in the Donbas. Pro-Russian groups backed by Russian soldiers started demonstrating in Donetsk and Luhansk against the government that was based in Kyiv. Ukraine launched a counterattack that was able to shrink the territory under Russian forces in 6 months' time. After Ukraine's defense, Russia directly invaded once again in what's known as the Russian stealth invasion. Putin clung to the same excuse as earlier in 2014, claiming that they were just defending the Russian-speaking locals in the east of Ukraine. Again, pro-Russian forces retook much of the territory that Ukraine claimed in the counterattack months prior. A stalemate in the east of the country continued for almost 8 years until Russia made its boldest and most recent move. That would be their full-scale invasion in February of 2022.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Ее цель – защита людей, которые на протяжении 8 лет подвергаются издевательствам, геноциду со стороны киевского режима.
Within minutes after Putin's announcement, airstrikes struck across Ukraine, followed by large ground invasions. Troops entered Ukraine from 3 points with hopes to capture Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Kherson. Russian missile strikes and bombs discharged in Ukraine caused huge damage to Ukrainian military assets, residential areas, communication and transportation infrastructure, hospitals, and more. Russia committed to reduce military activity after backlash from international allies condemning their invasion early on, but Ukrainian civilians continued experiencing war crimes.
In the last year, the whole world has heard Ukraine's cry for help. And although 143 countries condemn Russia's actions, it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight.